every time the manager tells him to wait. 40 minutes go by and the queue is down to one person. The manager goes for a glass of water and it's just me, Mark, the other staff member, and the customer. There's also a guy on the floor, but only 2 points of sale, so he's kind of irrelevant. Sorry, bro. He is fuming. His face is pure red, and he is clenching his fists. I slowly walk near him and stand nearby. He knows to keep his mouth shut around me, so I watch him quietly burn in impotent rage like an incense cone. The customer leaves, and he stomps to the staff member who gives him a look and says, "What?" This woman has negative time for him and less patience. She's a lovely woman and a great member of staff otherwise. This is just how crappy Mark is. Mark starts to blather on about an issue. The staff sits there for 5 minutes and lets him rant. It's vaguely offensive, but he knows better to insult the staff directly. When he finally finishes, she just tells him that's a contract issue and to ring the call center. Technically, she could have helped, but didn't have to. Mark gets mad. He demands the manager. A staff member that was working the floor goes up, takes his sweet time, comes back down with a cup of tea for himself and the other staff member, sits down and tells Mark the manager is on lunch. Cue a bunch of insults and slurs, and I ask him to leave. He squares up to me. He doesn't even reach my chest. I struggle to keep a straight face as the staff starts giggling and he slinks out. Jumping down to the comment section on this one, we have one from a user called Pinata's Crap. It says, "F you, Mark. F you very much." OP responded to this one and said, "The dude later tricked my colleague to give him my manager's number. Mark had been threatening to get me fired, also claimed he trained me and my boss, so he arrogantly showed me the number before dialing. Boss didn't pick up for a few minutes. He then rang the manager of the shop who told him what was going on. He, my boss, then picked up the phone, and I saw Mark almost jumped with joy before putting the phone on loudspeaker. He got a sentence and a half out before my boss went off at him, telling him he will come down and bounce him off every wall in the city center if he doesn't stop harassing the staff and security. He spent the next few months standing out in the street, making hilarious threatening gestures to me before the Gardaí, police, saw him one day and warned him." Another commenter down below called One Quirky One said, "This is nice. You all know each other and have each other's back. So with that in place, do you naturally coordinate dealing with this customer out of necessity, or is it for sport?" OP responded to this one and said, "He would be a troublesome little crap. He used to do loads of creepy stuff around women and try to act tough around the men. I'm trying not to be too specific, but imagine a fat Farquaad from Shrek with a balding hair and a club foot. Someone whose physical appearance would normally result in a great personality, but somehow he is a bitter man who throws tantrums. He used to come around so often, I had a whole folder named after him of incident reports he caused. The whole squaring up to me was hilarious. I'm not very tall, but this guy tried to get in my face and couldn't reach. Pure Napoleon complex comedy, like a sweaty baby trying to bare teeth at me. In general, I looked after the staff and buffered some of the more unhinged parts of the general public, except one lad who was a brick crap house, and I've had to tell people that I was actually trying to protect them from him when kicking them out. I've got to be honest, I've worked in retail quite a bit over my years, and there are customers that you just want to mess with because they're so miserable for no real good reason, and you just want to see if you can make them even more miserable before they leave. Does that make me a horrible person? Well, maybe, but I'm good with that. This story comes to us from Wise Reply 2377. "You really want me to go home? Okay, you lose a client." So this is a funny story where I know I wasn't exactly in the right, but it was still malicious compliance. So I'm a software engineer, and I'm a gal. So as you can imagine, I'm always either the only or one of very, very few non-males in the team. This malicious compliance is from a previous job of mine. I was the primary software engineer on a project. One random Wednesday, yes, I remember the day of the week, we had a meeting scheduled with the client. This was a large company, and the client was in a different country, so the meeting was scheduled virtually. Now, if you know anything about me, I'm a bit of a promiscuous gal, and I guess this day I was being a bit silly and wore a dress that was a teeny tiny bit too short. At lunch, I was told by my manager that someone had complained and I needed to go home and change. I knew I was wrong and immediately apologized, but I brought up the meeting I had coming up. Now, as per company policy, we could not take any company equipment home unless we were scheduled on call, or unless we had permission. I could not take this call from home without the company laptop I needed to demo something, and I knew none of the other engineers on my team could manage the demo. Yes, they knew how it worked, but no one knew it as well as me, and they had to refer to manuals to do the demo and answer questions, which is not a great presentation for the client. So I offered two options. One, I get to take the company laptop home for the night. Two, I sit in one of the conference rooms for the next hour and a half and then join the meeting from that room. I was told neither was an option. I either had to go home and then return after changing, or go home and join in the call via a telephone and let a teammate present. I presented my arguments, and my manager then told me that I should change and come back. There's no ways I was doing that, mainly because it would take too long. I made that clear. So he offered that I could take the next off out of my unlimited medical leave if I came back, because he knew how important the client was. I once again suggested I take the company laptop home. I had done it multiple times when I was on call, so it wasn't a trust issue. He said, no, that's only when you cannot take a call from the office. I gave one more shot to explaining that even if I went home and left right away, I would miss most of the call, but he did not care. He said he would take care of the call until I reached. I said, okay, and put in the next day off, along with an email confirming what we had discussed, and then headed home. I obviously was not in a rush. I got home, changed, and went back to the office. As soon as I left home, I started receiving frantic calls asking where I was. I explained that it would take me 45 minutes to reach the office if traffic allowed, and they should start the call. Bottom line, no one was prepared. Everyone freaked out and made a mess of the presentation. The client was unimpressed and did not move forward with any further projects. So yes, I messed up, but I was willing to make up for it. He did not listen to me and chose to dismiss my statements, so I did exactly what he wanted. Could I have stopped at a mall 5 minutes away and picked up leggings? Yes. Did I choose to follow his instructions by the letter? Yes. OP added an edit down at the bottom. It says, edit, I cannot reply to so many comments, so thank you everyone for your comments. I want to clarify that the problem was not with my outfit being too short for the meeting. If the meeting had happened before the complaint reached my manager, I'd have gone home and taken the L on the half day. But the problem came because I had to attend the meeting and they had to enforce their punishment on me. I forgot to put the outcome. The manager did try to blame me, but I simply reminded him that I had told him about the issue and emailed him the discussion of our meeting. I had explicitly told him this would happen if he sent me home to change, but he said he would handle it. He wasn't that bad of a person to say that didn't happen, so he simply used that to make our lives harder about everyone being fully involved in all projects, which meant a lot more meetings and a lot less work getting done. So I quit not much longer, and I know multiple others did because it was affecting bonuses too. Jumping down to the comment section on this one, there's one from a user called 8ofclubs343. It says, so your dress was too short for a virtual meeting where mostly only your face would be visible to the client, and rather than them just sucking it up for a day, they lost a client because they sent away the one person who actually knew what was going on. I get the dress code is a thing at offices, but if this client was so important, then I think they could have just left it at come back tomorrow with appropriate clothing, instead of leave and come back. Well done on the malicious compliance, their fault for not being prepared. OP responded and said, exactly. I accepted my mistake, and that's why I was willing to sit in a conference room so I wouldn't bother anyone with my